What up, Raiders? We're out here learning how to shoot, how to defend ourselves. We are at the live fire situation right now, so we're actually shooting them.
We're in a live fire combat scenario, you know, it's no big deal.
With the one and only Joan Adams.
Behave yourselves, all right?
We got Scott.
Putting the phone down range.
Scott is our instructor. Scott is...
Hi, chat.
Yeah, we got a big raid, so...
We got big raid?
A raid
raid,
from another streamer,
yeah.
from Grimlow. And then Hartzell,
Poggers,
also.
poggers.
Hartzell, Kansas City famous guy.
Kansas City activist. We got
Hometown
Scott,
hero,
our
baby.
trainer.
Yeah. Welcome in, everybody.
He looks so cool.
I'm shooting bullseyes right now, too.
I look so badass right now.
John Wick, over here. Do you feel cool?
I feel dangerous.
Dangerous.
Eight, 9, 10. Let's focus on the targets that are available.
Keep everything well lubricated.
You look great. You look great. Stunning. No one has ever looked this good at this range. I guarantee you.
You know what? We're making history today. We're making history, y'all.
Take it away, Scott.
So, hi everybody, I'm Scott. I'm gonna be the instructor for today. Let's gather around. Let's just start with introductions. Name, preferred pronoun. I kind of want to know your guys' history with firearms, if any. So I'm Scott, he, him. So I got into firearms when I was kind of younger, mostly just shooting garbage in the woods. More recently, over like the past 5 years, I've been doing a lot of competition style shooting.
Cool.
Most recently, I have won a couple of plaques, trophies from a few competitions. Took third place in the Oklahoma State IDPA match.
Cool.
Second place in the Iowa State IDPA match. Right now, I'm currently classified as an expert. There's only one higher classification than that, which is master.
Nice.
And there's like two ways to earn classifications. One is by shooting a standard course of fire, and the other is by winning matches. I don't shoot any of the standard courses of fire anymore. I just go to matches. I came like within 3 points of making master at the last major match I was at.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a little upset about that, but you know,
You'll get
it
it
is what it
eventually.
is.
Yeah,
Probably
don't
get
worry.
it next year.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just start over here.
My name's Hartzell Gray. He, him, and I Eagle Scout, so shot a little bit. You know,
Okay.
At camp and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm Brett. I shoot like once or twice a year. Usually when I come home to Kansas City, my dad has a lot of guns, so I try to get him to the range for his sake, but it's also very fun for me. So I've shot recently and am somewhat familiar, but also definitely will benefit from this course a lot. So yeah.
All right.
Hi, I'm Joan, she, her, or whatever, you know. The last time I shot a gun, I was like a preteen, probably like 12 or so. Probably shooting garbage in the woods,
woods.
With my dad and my grandpa. So it's been a while.
Garbage in the woods. Good way to start. So let's just go ahead and get into this. We're just gonna go through the overview here. We're gonna start out with the safety briefing and go into a whole like safety talk. I think I got like half of this presentation is just over gun safety and basic gun handling. Then we're gonna break into marksmanship, which is basically the art of putting bullets where you want to put bullets in a particular spot. Breaking out from that, we'll get into controls, and if we have times, we'll talk about manipulations. Control being the ability to, rapidly fire across targets into multiple targets, and manipulations being working with the gun in ways that are not shooting, such as using holsters and reloading the gun under speed. So let's talk about the 4 basic safety rules. These were written down by Jeff Cooper back in the 1950s. He was a really big gun instructor out in Arizona. created what we call the modern technique. It's not really the most current technique, not really used anymore, but it was kind of the first time that somebody actually used performance metrics in order to create a style of shooting. And he codified 4 rules of safety. As always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Only things that you intend to shoot at. Treat all guns if they are loaded. Keep your finger out of the trigger guard until you are ready to fire. And know your target and what is beyond it, right? The berm here has kind of sunk a little low when we put targets up. If your target's too low and you're looking beyond it and you're like, hey, if I shoot at this section of the target and it's going to go beyond, let me know. We'll bring it down a bit. So do be aware of that. Now these 4 safety rules been around since the 50s, pretty good. The main thing of this is in order for anybody to actually get hurt, you have to break all 4 of them at once. So as long as you're, doing at least one of them, nobody should get hurt, all 4 of them. There are quite a few exceptions to these, particularly the treat all guns as if they were loaded. Obviously, when I'm breaking a gun down for maintenance, I'm not going to treat it as loaded.
Yeah, you'd never do that to a loaded gun. Right?
No, you would never do that to a loaded gun. Especially some guns, you have to actually pull back the slide a little bit, put your hand kind of in front of it. I'm not going to put my hand in front of a loaded gun.
Yeah.
Not happening. So more recently, there has been kind of a conversation in the instructor space about revising these rules. And those revisions have come down to the 3 new rules, which is always keep the gun pointed in the direction of least consequence. This includes things such as maintenance, such as dry fire. Always keep that gun pointed wherever it's least consequential to fire. Inside your home, if I have my gun pointed downwards when I'm breaking it apart and it goes into a table and down the floor, that's of less consequence than if it's pointed at a wall with maybe somebody on the other side of it, significantly. A gun that is cased or holstered is not considered pointed. A gun is only really considered pointed at anything when its trigger is uncovered. Always keep your finger outside the trigger guard until the conscientious decision to fire has been made. This includes all the time, basically. The only exception to this is going to be some guns require you to pull the trigger in order to break them apart. So long as you're keeping these 3 rules in your mind, you're not going to get hurt. Know the state of your guns and keep guns unloaded when not in use. So when not in use, a gun that is being carried around is in use. It's okay to keep that thing loaded. A gun that's being staged for home defense, that's an in-use situation. It's okay to keep that gun loaded. If you're putting it away in storage, it needs to go into storage unloaded. Let's talk about safety in the use of firearms. We want to be conscious of the firearm. Whenever we have a gun in our hand, that gun is the most important thing in the world. Just plain simple. Even if we're focusing on doing other things, such as moving around between points of cover, unloading the gun, etc., we need to keep at least awareness, if not focus, on that gun. There's a bit of a difference, I think we all know, between awareness and focus. Where focus being hey, I'm working my brain in order to pay attention to this particular thing. Awareness being I might not be working my brain as much, I might not be focused on it, but I'm aware that this thing exists in this space. Keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. That's got to be kind of all the time. Goes without saying, whether it's loaded or unloaded, if we're handling the gun, we need to keep it pointing in a safe direction. Only handle the firearm when it's appropriate to do so and avoid unnecessary handling. We're here on the range, we're going to be handling guns. When you're breaking down a gun for maintenance, you're going to be handling a gun. Walking around your home with a loaded gun, carrying it around, probably not the best idea. So additionally to that, there is also a thing called dry fire. Pulling the trigger without a bullet in order to practice.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we use in order to get practice. There are some things that can help make sure that the gun stays unloaded. Snap caps are basically dummy rounds, aren't loaded with anything, aren't capable of going off. You can throw those inside of your chamber. Barrel blocks and laser cartridges also tend. You might be asking, what is a barrel block? So let's show you guys what a barrel block is. So I have a couple of things in here. So this is not a gun. Can we agree? Okay. It looks like a gun. It definitely looks like a gun. It can definitely be handled like a gun. I can even put this in a holster like a gun. It's a solid chunk of plastic. It's incapable of firing. If I wave it over my hand, that's fine because like there's no reality where this is going to go off. Let's take a look at this guy. So this guy is a gun, right? So we can see there's this yellow thing sticking out of that gun. That's a barrel block.
Smoking a cigarette.
Yep. What the barrel block is that it is a little piece of plastic that sits inside there that blocks the chamber. It completely holds the chamber in the shape of the cartridge that it's in. This one's in 45 ACP. And it sticks all the way out of the end of the muzzle. So I know that my gun has the barrel block in it when I can see this sticking out of it. So this is a gun. I don't want to like unnecessarily put my hand in front of the muzzle. I want to keep this pointed in a safe direction. However, I can see that this thing has a barrel block. No way this is going to go off even if I dry fire it. So I'm going to just display dry fire right now. It didn't go off. The hammer went down. Actions that would make it fire happened, but it did not fire. I'm going to go ahead and place that here. That is a 1911. Yes. With that, even in dry fire, safety rules need to be maintained. We need to keep the gun pointed in a direction of least consequence. If you're doing dry fire at your house, point it towards, a wall of least consequence where people aren't going to be. Exterior walls tend to stop bullets a lot better than interior walls. Keeping it at something where it's going to go through multiple walls without people in them. A good way to slow down a bullet, make sure things, if things go wrong, they aren't of extreme consequence.
Yeah.
Why I use barrel blocks. So let's talk about the range. Just some terminology around the range. The berm is basically our bullet catch. It's the big mound of dirt and sticks, I guess, right now, down at the end there. Catches bullets, make sure that they don't go into the neighbor's yard. The firing line is an established line where we fire. In a lot of commercial ranges inside the city, they'll have like benches set up where you can work your gun off. That would technically be a firing line. Out here, we don't have that. Out here, we just have an open range. I have cones set up to establish a firing line. The important part of that is that if we are shooting a gun, nobody should be handling a gun behind the established fire line. Nobody should be moving their body across the established firing line. It's a good way to get shot. I really don't want anybody to get shot here. That would be extremely bad.
Same.
I would be very sad. And
Me too.
unhappy.
That would suck.
But let's talk about that because, there is some if there are infinite universes, there is some reality where somebody here catches a bullet, and that's hopefully not this one. Medical supplies. Anybody here know how to use stop the bleed equipment or stuff?
I know basic first aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basic first aid.
I was a lifeguard.
Okay. So these are some stop the bleed supplies. There's a tourniquet in here, chest seals, packing, wadding, everything you need in case somebody does end up catching a bullet. This one's actually designed to fit around my ankle. There's also a small first aid kit in here for little boo-boos and stuff. When we're down at the range, we're going to keep this nearby. Hopefully nothing happens.
Of course, yeah.
Hopefully it's just a thing that's there. Just a prop.
Should be safer.
Yep.
Yeah, but just to be safe. So uprange, downrange, not super important today. Uprange is considered anything away from the berm. Downrange considered anything down to the berm. Don't find yourself downrange when we're shooting. Make sure that we've established that we're clear and everything's safe before we go downrange. This, we don't have target carriers down here, so if we want to look at the targets, we do have to go downrange. We'll make everything safe before we do that. Uprange is away from the berm. Not super important today, but it's a terminology to know. Mm-hmm. Personal protection equipment, eyes and ear protection. I know you brought some already. I brought some extras as well. Earplugs, eye protection. Eye protection should be rated for, ANSI Z71 something? Okay. I'll have to look that up later. That's just off the top of my head. Ear protection, very important. I know plenty of guys that have gone deaf doing this stuff without ear pro for some reason. Not a good idea. No. Eye protection is kind of extremely important on this range. We have steel targets here. When a bullet strikes a steel target, it splatters into 1,000 little bits. It goes in a normal direction to the steel target. So all our steel targets here are slanted downwards, so they go slightly down into the dirt. But sometimes with jacketed bullets, that jacket will rip off and it could send fragments anywhere. It's very important to wear eye protection because of that. It's more a danger if you're like to the side of the steel target. All of our steel targets today are just up against the berm, so it shouldn't be an issue, but definitely wear eye protection for that stuff.
Gotcha.
Range commands. So these are things I'm just going to say out while we're out there. Familiarize yourself with them. Load and ready. That's going to be a command I give when I want you guys to load the gun with ammunition. Everybody feel mentally comfortable with loading a gun today? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Start commands. Go, start. I have a timer. It'll give a beep, audible. Those are all going to be commands to start shooting. Unload and clear. That's the command to unload your gun. Show me that it's clear. So let's go ahead and go through a example of what it's like to load and unload a gun. Actually, before that, I think I want to talk about ceasefire. If something happens, if a target falls over, if a gun explodes, God forbid, or becomes unusable, anybody can call a ceasefire. It is a command given to kind of tell everybody to stop shooting and await further instruction. Handgun basic operations. So let's start all the way back in time with the double action revolver. Yes. Double action revolvers are very simple to use. There's really only 3 things to them that are external that we can kind of move around. We have our cylinder release. This one is a Smith & Wesson. The cylinder release presses in. When I do that, it unlocks the cylinder and I can press the cylinder out. I can now check the cylinder to make sure that there's no ammo in there. Mm-hmm. If I need to unload the cylinder, I can place my hand on this rod and the ejector comes out. That'll push all the cases that are inside there out. Generally, all modern double action revolvers are going to be similar. The button may go up, it may go back, it may press inwards, but it's going to have some cylinder release that goes in some direction, and then you just swing out the cylinder. Hammer. This particular hammer has a spur on it. That spur allows us to actuate the hammer a bit. This being a double action revolver, it has 2 firing modes. We can either pull the trigger completely back, which will make it cock back the hammer, and then when it reaches the end of its travel, it'll slam back forward, firing the round. Showing that I'm clear, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate what that looks like. So pull the hammer, we can see the cylinder rotates, the hammer comes back automatically, pull all the way through, and it goes all the way back. Now if I just short stroke the trigger from here, nothing happens. In order to return the trigger, I have to go all the way out, and then I can do that again. With the spur on the hammer, we can see that that rotates the cylinder, locks the hammer back, and now our trigger is in a backwards position. This lowers the trigger weight of this trigger to like an incredibly low amount of pounds. I think it goes from like 6 pounds, no. How heavy is my trigger? I think it's 8 pounds down to 2. Yeah, very light trigger. If I pull that trigger, that hammer goes forward, the round will ignite. If I have this locked back and I decide I don't want to lock that back, I can't just push forward on this hammer. Okay, I have to release it. So in order to release it, what I'm going to do, the only way to release this is with the action of the trigger. But I don't want the gun to go off, I just want to decock the hammer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my thumb on the back here. I'm going to lift back on the hammer. I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to slowly let the hammer go up. Once it makes contact with my thumb, I'm going to release the pressure from the trigger down here, and I'm going to let it go forward. Now, it's very important here to release the trigger. With most modern double action revolvers, there is an internal safety on them. So if you look here, if I push forward, if you kind of look way between that gap, if I pull this trigger and let go forward, you can kind of see that the firing pin shows up a little bit, right? And when I release if I just kind of pull this back and let it go forward, you can see that firing pin go back and forth. Yeah. If I release the trigger, I go forward and back on this, it doesn't go forward. There's a small safety inside of there that blocks the hammer. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah. It's a little small metal bit down there that blocks the hammer. That's on most double action revolvers that are made nowadays. But yeah, fairly simple. We got cylinder release, hammer, trigger, a couple extra tricks on them. That's it. Let's just do this chronologically in time, I guess.
Sure.
So single action pistols, this one's is a 1911. It's called that because it was made in 1911, or at least first designed. This particular one was made in the 90s. As we can see, there's a lot more controls going on with this thing. As a common feature of most semi-automatic pistols, it's going to have a slide. The slide is going to reciprocate forwards and backwards as it goes through the action. This is also required to charge the gun. This is not a bullet, we can agree?
Agreed.
Yeah, good. So if I put the magazine in, if I wanted to load a bullet into this, I'd put the magazine in, pull the slide, I'd go forward, and it would load a bullet in there. Best way to do this is not actually to pull the slide. It's actually to just grab the slide like this and then push down on the frame.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Yep. One thing you want to be conscious of when you do it like this, though, is that port right there, barrel, slide, they're going to disconnect from each other. That's going to open. You could pinch your hand if you're like holding on to that too closely. So common other features with semi-automatic slide, we also have the magazine release. Pressing this inwards releases the magazine. If I put this up without pulling that, the magazine's just kind of locked in place. Eventually, like if I pull hard enough, something will break and it'll come out. Not desired. And typically on most, do I have the other mag? I don't know.
I think I see it in the inside here. Right?
That's a different gun.
Oh, that's a different gun.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. Here, let me just pop this out to kind of display this. So, up here we also have the slide catch, empty magazine. On most semi-automatics, when the magazine runs empty and you fire the last round, the slide goes back and it catches on that slide release up here. That activates on the magazine. In order to drop this, drop the magazine. Some guns, you can just pull back on the slide and it'll release. Some guns have the slide lever here that you just press down. This gun's kind of weird because if I pull back on the slide, it doesn't go forward. So, you know, I've definitely heard other instructors say you can do this with every gun. Well, we're looking at it. It's not every gun. Push down the slide release, makes it go forward. We can see when I did that, the hammer cocked back. This is a single action pistol. In order for it to fire, unlike the double action revolver, if I pull the trigger with the hammer forward, nothing really happens. In order for it to fire, the hammer has to be cocked back, pressed. Now, of particular note to the 1911s, they all feature grip safeties and thumb safeties. The thumb safety in the upward position is going to be safe. This is going to block the sear movement. The sear is a little part inside of here that holds the hammer. So if I pull back on the trigger with this, safety engaged, nothing happens. Safety on the grip, this blocks movement of the trigger. So if I have this safety down and I don't have this safety engaged and I try to pull the trigger, even though I'm giving it significant force, it's not pulling. Only when both are engaged can the trigger be pulled and the hammer goes forward and the round ignites. Particular to the 1911, typically if you're carrying one or you have one set up for home defense, keeping it with the safety on is good enough to keep it from not firing with the hammer cocked back. If you have it stored for home defense in like a safe or something, a quick access safe or something like that, this thing might get rattled around depending on what you're putting it in, and you may determine that it's not safe for it to just be on the safety, especially if like you're checking your gun and the safety pops off. It can happen on its own. Another way to store this is with the hammer cocked down. To do that, similar to the double action revolver, but we'll need to engage this grip safety. But if we pull back on the hammer, we can see the grip safety engages on its own. Similarly, I'm going to put my thumb up here, I'm going to pull the trigger, let the hammer go forward till I feel it touch my thumb, take my finger off the trigger, and ease it up. Now, you can see that it didn't go all the way up. It's not actually touching that firing pin. There's a little half cock. It's obviously not half. It's like more like 90%. of the way down. But there's a little half-cock knock on the hammer that'll prevent it from touching that firing pin. This is a method if you want to use it to store it in home defense. Depending on how your hammer's designed, you may be able to activate the thumb safety, you may not.
So you have to have, I was going to ask why you would want it cocked like in storage. Like why would you want the hammer cocked in storage? Why would you not just like want it like that?
Like this, if it's being stored for home defense, it just depends on how you feel about it.
Okay.
Honestly, like if I was to use one of these for home defense, I'd probably have the hammer forward for home defense purposes. But you know, it is also extra handling to drop that trigger
if you need it quick.
Yeah, if you need it quick. Totally up to you. Another thing about these 1911s, when the safety is up, the slide is locked back. Or forward, sorry. Slide's locked forward. Can't pull this back no matter how hard I try until I break the safety. Okay. That's got to be down in order for that to do that. So that's pretty much it for the 1911. I don't want to go into full like how to break this down for maintenance because on the 1911 it's kind of a lot. But let's move on to the next kind of thing that we see, which is double action pistols. Come on, there we go. That's funny. So this is a Beretta 92. Kind of looks like a military M9. This is a double action semi-auto pistol. So we can see some of the similar controls as the 1911. We have the magazine release, which if we drops the magazine. Press that, drops the magazine. And we have a slide release right here. So if I catch the slide on that, it holds it back. Press that down, goes forward. We can also see that when the slide reciprocated, the hammer came back, similar to the 1911. The difference here is going to be that we have, typically on double action pistols like this, we'll have some sort of lever that will either act as a safety or act as a decocker. This one has a decocker. What that means is that when I pull this lever here, the hammer goes forward without me pulling the trigger. Now it doesn't go off. If we look back here,
not shoot a...
Yeah.
Okay.
That would not shoot around. If we look back here, there's a little buffer. When we pull this, that buffer actually lifts up out of the way so that the hammer can't make contact with it and the firing pin won't go forward. It'll just drop forward. There's also a firing pin safety inside of here. So if I pop this off real quick, this little notch right here, I press that in, it goes up. That is what blocks the travel of the firing pin when it's down. In order to activate that, it's connected to the trigger. So if you look right here, it's that little lever right there. If I pull the decocker, the lever stays down. Okay. Now, different with a double action pistol, if we pull the trigger, it both cocks and puts it forward. So as I begin pulling this, hammer goes back, pull it all the way, hammer goes forward. We can see right here, on the Beretta 92 at least, that the firing pin safety is actually out of the way, allowing it to go forward and potentially fire. That's pretty much it for double actions.
I think that's all of the guns I brought are double actions like that.
Okay. So, yeah. And as it goes forward, fires, slide reciprocates, ejects a round, feeds a new round from the magazine, and we can see the hammer locks back. I now have a reduced trigger pull, kind of like when I pulled the hammer back on the revolver. It's a much lighter trigger pull, much easier trigger pull than when it's forward. So next thing I want to talk about here, and this one doesn't have a barrel block. I'll go ahead and show it clear. This is a striker-fired modern pistol. We can see it's clear. I don't have a barrel block in this one for a particular reason because I am going to load this one with dummy cartridges to kind of show its action. These are what are most commonly used like nowadays is striker-fired pistols. As we can see on the exterior, we have a magazine release. We press that, magazine comes out, and we have a slide release. And that's pretty much it. If we look here at the trigger though, the trigger looks kind of wonky, like it's in two parts. So that is indeed in two parts. If I pull the top of the trigger here, it won't engage that bottom part, and you can see that the trigger kind of gets locked up on the frame and won't go forward. That acts as your drop safety. So if you drop the gun, the only way to make this thing fire is to pull the trigger, and the only way to pull the trigger is to engage that safety. Safety automatically goes off when you pull the trigger. Clicks. Now if I pull this again, it doesn't click. If for some reason it doesn't go off, you have to pull back the slide, eject the round that didn't go off, and let it go forward. So let's talk about loading magazines, how these work. Now, semi-automatic magazines, whether it's 1911, Beretta 92, striker-fired pistols, they're all kind of similar. So these are snap gaps. Can we all agree that these aren't real bullets?
Is that real?
So I don't really know the difference. But
Yeah.
yes.
So this is constructed of pure aluminum, and if you look at that, that is not. That's like a little piece of resin back there, instead of a primer. So these things will not go off. Loading bullets into magazines. Generally, the magazine only goes in one direction. So if we take a look back at that Smith & Wesson, if I put the magazine in sideways, it doesn't work. If I put the magazine in backwards, it doesn't work sideways. So it only goes in forward, and it comes out like that. So we need the bullet to go in. We need the case cartridge to go in bullet side into the gun. We know that it only goes in this way. Bullet needs to face outwards and loads in like that, pressing down with your thumb. There are also speed loaders. Depending on how the speed loader is constructed, it can ease the use of loading your magazine. I'm going to go ahead and load this one with 2 rounds, and then I'm going to load it into the Smith & Wesson and kind of display all the action that's going on with this and display how to make this clear. So actually, I think I want 2 more, because I think I also want to show how to do this wrong. So, magazines in, dummy rounds are in the magazine. If I pull back on the slide, we can see that the casing's right there. If I release the slide, it goes forward. If I pull back slightly on the slide, we can see that it has the dummy round in there. To make this thing clear, the first thing I want to do is remove the magazine. That's important to do first because we don't want this thing to be able to feed any more ammunition in there. Then we pull back on the slide, the round ejects, and we put the slide forward. The gun's now clear. Generally safe. If we want to dry fire it, break it apart for maintenance, we now know the state of the gun is clear, and we can go ahead and do that. If for any reason we question the state or we don't know the state, we can simply do that by, again, pulling back slightly on the slide. If we see a cartridge in there, it's not clear. If we don't see a cartridge in there, it is clear. If you don't see a cartridge in there, though, you want to pull all the way back so that you can get a good, clear view of there. If you're in some dark environment and you're just still not sure, you can stick your finger in there. Generally, there's going to be, the slide release works on the magazine, so there is going to be some lever in there or something that pokes into the magazine. If you stick your finger in there, don't touch that. Otherwise,
it'll close on you.
You know, it might close on you. Generally, they're under a lot of tension, so it's unlikely to happen, but it might. So let's go ahead and show what happens when we do that clear operation in reverse. So if we don't pull out the magazine first, pull back on the slide, then drop the magazine, pull back on the slide. Oh, there's still one in there. That shouldn't be like that. If I were to try to pull this apart, this gun requires you to drop the trigger. Actually, it doesn't, but it's a lot easier to do it that way. To pull the trigger, and if I'm trying to break this apart for maintenance now, I'm going to get hurt. We don't want to get hurt. Now, generally, that method of clearing, dropping the magazine and pulling back on the slide, that works for all semi-automatics. I don't know of any exceptions. There might be. I don't know of them. If there are, those guns probably shouldn't exist. Dropping the magazine, pulling back the slide, in that order, clears your magazine. I think we went through everything as far as operations, right? Loading and unloading, cycling. Cycle of a revolver, pull back the trigger on the double action, cylinder goes forward, hammer goes back and then forward, firing it, repeat until empty, unload the gun, load the gun, continue. Same thing, I guess, with semi-auto, bullets, magazine. Let me get one more in there. Bullets, magazine, forward, pull the trigger, gun goes off. Didn't right here because it's all dummy rounds. Goes back, goes forward. Now semi-auto, I need to release the trigger a little bit. Depending on how your gun's set up, you may have to release the trigger more. This one's pretty short. I didn't have to go all the way back out in order to fire it. Here's all the way back out. Here's where it needs to be in order to fire the next round. You can kind of hear that. Kind of hear that reset. like that. I've never been able to hear that while firing a gun.
Sure.
Um,
Do you feel a difference in the tension though in your finger, or no?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can do that. It takes a lot of practice to really get it right,
Yeah.
to where you can rapid fire like that. But it's an option. I'm go ahead and put this back into its holster. And when guns are holstered and bagged, they are not pointing at things, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. The gun is effectively safe in the holster of the back. There's the other mag.
Oh, there you go. Found it. Sure.
I'm good. Dummy rounds. There are a lot of different types of dummy rounds. If I'm going to be using dummy rounds for dry fire, generally I just use the barrel blocks. But if I am, I kind of want to use these red ones. There are some dummy rounds that look like real bullets.
Okay.
I have mixed feelings about this.
Oh yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. So on these ones, that's a real bullet. That's a real casing. I put demonstrations here, but we kind of already did all the demonstrations. Right?
Okay.
What time is it?
Any questions from you guys?
11:55.
Like anything
Yeah, any
like
questions
you
or
want to
anything?
know more about?
No? Any questions in the
So
chat?
when you bring it back, is there a button I need to push for that to get it to?
So if you want to
I can't really
lock
tell.
it, if you want to lock it while you're pulling it back without a empty magazine in there, you have to press up on the slide release, like that.
Okay, that's the slide.
Yep, and that pulls it up and locks it back. I did not go over that. I should have gone over that.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Yep.
Yeah. Also, like, maybe we should like go over the specifics of like the guns that we
Yeah,
have
definitely.
that we'll be shooting.
You know what? Let's just go over your guys' gun
Yeah,
one right
okay.
here. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
Let's just go through it one at a time.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I'll
ahead
go
and
first.
Step
yeah,
up.
sure.
So everybody, let's just be safe, extra safe.
Yeah,
and
everybody in the same
let's
spot.
get back. Let's establish a firing line right here. So everybody needs to be uprange of the firing line.
Yeah. You can leave the camera there though.
Yeah, the camera's there. That's not as consequential as a person
No,
getting hit with a bullet.
Chat they can be downrange.
Oh no.
Okay, so we have
So we have a Beretta Nano.
Red Nano.
All right, so let's go ahead and make that clear. Drop the magazine and pull back the slide. Now, this is an interesting one that you brought because this doesn't actually have a slide lever.
Yeah, you're right. There's
Yeah.
nothing here.
Yeah, in order to actually lock this one back, you need to put in an empty magazine and then it'll lock back.
Yeah.
Now, that's not something I kind of like on these things, but it is kind of a thing. When I ask you to make clear on this, it's okay to just hold it back. I'll confirm it's clear, like when we're downrange. We'll let it go forward. I'm gonna bring one of these tables down there and then we'll place it on the table.
And then the slide, because there's no slide
Yep.
release, it's just
Yep, the magazine has to either be out or loaded, and then you pull forward. Yeah, this is a goofy one. I'm not a particular fan of these, but they exist. But if you look here, deep down in there, it's all covered up. Yep, that's actually your slide release right there, that little lever.
okay.
And when you pull back on that, you can see that drops forward.
Ah.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then it goes forward. And I forget, are these striker fired? Yes, these are striker fired pistols. Interesting choice.
I
fine.
didn't buy it.
That's fair. That's fair. It's cute. It's cute. Little Italian Beretta. Are these Italian or American? It doesn't have a slide release on it or a slide catch lever. It's internal. The idea when they made this one was to make it easier to carry. I think it's kind of chunky to modern standards for an easy to carry gun, but they didn't want anything sticking out on it. So you want to keep your finger out of the trigger guard while you're doing that.
So push up.
Yep, and pull the slide back. So it might be easier to wrap your whole thumb around there.
Okay.
And then, like,
What's your finger there?
your finger.
So
So it's not gonna like catch until like the gun is actually the slide is actually
the same
back.
thing too? This is also a slider on this side.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the same thing. It's just one part. So if you pull back on that, the slide goes back. We can see it's empty. Okay. And go ahead, put that forward. So let me show you a trick here on this. So what I like to do, I don't know if your hands can reach or not. Everybody has different hands. There's like hundreds of different guns out there. They're all different sizes to fit different people's hands, and that's fine. But what I normally do with this is I break my hand down a little bit, press up on that slide release, and then like as I pull it back, it kind of just goes up into that position. Yeah. Do you want to try that again?
Yeah, try that again.
Yeah, definitely. So just keep pressure up on the lever, and then pull the slide back, and it should go into place. Oh, not quite. Watch that ejection port. Don't want to get your thumb in there.
So I'm pushing it up.
Yep, push it up. And push it up more.
Push it up more?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, there we go. Hey!
Look at me go.
There we go. And now we can see that it's completely empty.
Yep.
Yep. And
If I want to release it.
yep, you can just pull back on the slide or drop that.
Like that.
Yep, like that. And Joe?
Okay, what are we practicing? Like clearing the.
Yeah, just clearing the gun.
Okay.
Hey, there's another one in the white box if we want to get familiar with that one too.
Were you handing that to me or?
Well, let's look at this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're a little tiny. Short and stubby fingers.
Is it this one?
Ah, yes.
Cool. Okay. So what is this?
So this is a little striker-fired Ruger in 9mm.
Okay.
So let's go ahead, drop the magazine, and let's show it clear.
Okay. So do.
Oh.
I guess I need to.
Yep. All right, it's clear.
Cool.
To catch the magazine on this one, it's got that lever there.
Okay. So do I have to press that like
so-
as I'm? What do I? How does that
So
work?
it works, it'll catch on an empty magazine, and you can also push it up with your thumb in order to lock the slide back.
Okay.
Yep.
So, cool.
Yeah. This one also has a manual safety on it right here. So when that is in the up position, the trigger cannot be fired. We can see a white dot there. And when that one is in the down position, there's a little red dot in there and the trigger can be pulled. Yep. Go ahead and pick these up. I'm going to throw this in the back of my truck. I'm going to set up some targets down there. You guys can go ahead and take a break,
Okay.
get some water.
Sure.
So let's start getting into actually how to like shoot the gun. That's
Yep.
the part that I find the most interesting.
That's what they do.
That's my thing. Let's talk first about like how to actually get good at shooting a gun, because I'm gonna teach you guys as much as I can. I don't expect you to be John Wick by the end of the day. Like if you came in here thinking that you're gonna leave here John Wick, it's gonna take a lot of work. Like it's
I don't
possible.
know, maybe there's untapped natural talent in one of us.
There could be.
It's a prodigy of muscles.
To really get
Real
good
Anakin Skywalker.
at shooting the gun, it's kind of a mix of these four things. Formal training, being this blue one, that's what we're doing here today. We're learning how to use the gun a little bit better. Then dry fire practice, that's the big red one. This is where I spend most of my time, like doing dry fire practice. Like if you want to be an IDPA master, you're gonna have to do a lot of dry fire. Live fire practice, actually going out and shooting the gun, it is important. And then assessments. Assessments can be in multiple forms. Standardized drills with like actual set times and target values, that can be a form of a standardized assessment. Going out and shooting major matches like I do, I consider that like the test. Like it's kind of funny. I was actually having this conversation. I don't want to like go rambling off, but somebody was talking about, I bet this translates to shooting for real, right? And in their mind, their context was like actually getting into a defensive gun use. Whereas I was actually talking about my performance at a major match, and I was like, no, dude, that is shooting the gun for real.
Yeah.
Like that's it for me. I'll be shooting a major match, and my heart rate will be up to 171, and I'll be winning. It is what it is. So shooting major matches, getting into a defensive gun use, I really don't consider that an assessment. However, there are such things as use of force scenarios where we take fake guns, usually either paintball markers or something like that, and shoot at each other with them. It's kind of unfortunately it's like not a very common practice compared to like actually going out and doing competitions, which is kind of a shame because
I want to shoot Brett with
like,
paintballs.
yeah, we want to shoot bro with paintballs. But that's a form of assessment. Today I have all three of those planned. We're going to be like here at the back of my truck as a classroom, learning about the basic principles of how to like put bullets where we want them, how to control recoil, how to handle the gun, etc. Then we're going to go down to the range and we're just going to live fire it. The big advantage of live fire is that it allows us to focus on what our bodies are doing with the gun without the distraction of the gun going off.
With dry fire.
With dry fire,
Okay.
yes. Super important. Then we're going to do live fire because, you know, you bought a whole bunch of ammo. We're going to shoot through it. We're going to shoot hopefully a lot. And then at the end, we might do an assessment, totally optional, up to you guys. I've got some standardized drills for you guys to run through if you want to, just see where you're at.
Cool.
Again, I don't expect you guys to be John Wick. Hopefully by the end of the class, you guys know how to be safe with it when handling a firearm. That's like the main
Hopefully
goal.
we know how to be safe before the
Having some general
before
idea.
we start with live fire.
Having some general idea.
Yeah.
Safety does get a little bit more convoluted when we're talking about shooting at multiple targets or moving around, taking cover. I don't think we're going to get to that today.
Okay.
But being safe with firearm is super important. And that's like the main thing we want to get out of this. So let's talk about our first lesson here, which is marksmanship, the art of putting bullets where we want them to. So let's talk about why that doesn't happen every time. Why does the gun miss? The act of shooting accurately is very simple. Line up the gun, bring the sights to the target, and pull the trigger without moving the gun. Very simple, very hard. Simple but hard, not easy. Why do people miss? It's generally not because they aren't aiming. Like generally people aim. It's because something moves with the gun from the point where we have the point of aim and we make the decision to fire, and then we pull the trigger and fire it. Something moves around, wobbles, etc. So I want to introduce two very simple principles of marksmanship. Basic principles: grip, sights, trigger. What's that mean? So grip is the way that we hold the gun. We want to hold the gun in a way so that it doesn't move as we're pulling the trigger. Sights, using the sights to align our gun to the point of impact that we want. And then trigger being how we pull the trigger to make sure that the gun is not moving. In reality, you can actually hit a bullseye just holding the gun like this. You're going to have to focus a lot on that trigger pull. Completely possible to do it just holding the gun like this. Not ideal. And then eyes to target, gun to eyes. This is also very simple. So if I have a target and I have a gun, I want to stare at a spot on that target that I particularly want to hit, and I want to bring the sights up to my eyes in order to hit that target. We're all using iron sights today. We'll go over that in a minute. But let's break down into this. I don't want to get like too out of order with stuff. Let's get started with grip. We should grip the gun high and firm. This will help us reduce movement and it will help tame the recoil. So some basic things about that. We want to take the web of our thumb here, right? We want to get up as high on the back strap of the gun as we can, this being the back strap. So as high as I can, you can kind of see that my thumb's like the webbing of my thumb's kind of pressing into that. That's kind of ideal. Might be a little uncomfortable the first time. The fingers should wrap around the gun on the primary hand. Your sport hand should be making contact with the gun as well, as much contact as it can. Big thing with that, a lot of people, they kind of rest their thumb down and then they put that. Well, now my thumb is kind of in the way, preventing me from making good contact. Keep that out of the way, get as much contact with that support hand as you can. Support hand should really just kind of wrap around all the way, making good contact with your dominant hand.
When you're holding the gun,
Yeah.
like you don't want to do like this, right?
Yeah, you don't,
Because
yeah.
this will kick back.
Yep.
Right?
So slide will reciprocate. So
Just
yep.
to make sure everybody knows. Like
Unless you want a purple thumb.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll
Yep. You want
fuck
to keep
up.
your hand away from the slide. Putting it like that, good
Yeah.
way to mess up your hand.
Yeah.
Kind of grip pressures kind of thing. I don't want too much pressure on my primary hand because I want to maintain dexterity in my trigger finger, right? If I like squeeze my hand a whole lot, I can't really move my trigger finger around quite as well. So I want to keep this actually slightly loose, kind of counterintuitive.
Relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little relaxed. If I want to apply pressure with this, that pressure is going to come from like the ring finger and the pinky. Generally, like if I take my ring finger and my pinky and I have them like this, I can still move my, I'm kind of flipping everybody off. I can still kind of move my trigger finger just fine. If I like take my middle finger and I squeeze on it, like I feel a little bit more tension. I imagine that's the same with you guys. Sight picture. So red dots are becoming a lot more common nowadays. With a red dot, you generally just eyes to the target, and then bring the dot up to your eye. Red dots have what's called a zero, so a particular point of impact where that dot is, point of aim, point of impact reference. That's usually set at a particular different distance by the user, and you will see the gun kind of go up and down. It's called holdover. We aren't really using red dots, but I do kind of want to go over it a little bit. Changes in distance will change that holdover, change the point of impact, and changes in ammo can actually also change that impact. Iron sights, most common form of sights out there. Iron sights are typically, we have post at the front, notch at the rear. Post goes into the notch. We want when they're together, the post should kind of be even with the two posts on the rear sight. A lot of them have 3 dots. I found that on some guns with 3 dots, the dots don't line up with the sights. So you'll end up shooting high or low. You also kind of want the notch to be even inside of, like for the most accurate shot, you want the notch to be even inside, side to side, right? So we want that to be in the middle with the tops ends of the sight lined up. Now, typically our eyes can only focus on one point at a single time. One way that some people use to cheat is to close one eye. I don't really like that. I kind of actually find it easier, depending on the distance of the target, to either choose to focus on the target or on the sight itself. Usually for close range targets, I'll just focus on the target. I'll bring the sights into my eye line. They'll be kind of blurry. I can still get it close enough to where it's not going to create an issue. Farther targets, I will try to focus on the front sight. Generally with far targets, we're not given like really tiny targets to shoot at. If you are, good luck.
Hope you got good eyes.
Hope you got good eyes. Yeah, and I'll focus on that front sight, and what I'll be watching is as I'm moving the trigger, I'm watching to see if that front sight moves.
Gotcha.
Front sight shouldn't be moving unless I'm doing something to the gun that's influencing its movement. Very kind of basic, simple stuff with that. Most commonly, it's even height, even light. That's what it is. Even light between the post, even height between the front and back. Types of sight picture. Front sight focus, kind of talked about that. Classical way to do it with iron sights. Some people say you have to do that all the time with iron sights. I don't. I found that it really kind of just matters on how big the target is and how far the target is away. Small target, far distance, I'm going to be focusing more on that front sight. Close target, large target, closer distance, I'm going to be focusing more on the target. Generally, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but like when I'm driving, like I'll look over at something and then the wheel will kind of like veer that way. Yeah, our brains want to like direct whatever is in our hands towards our line of sight. Generally letting the brain do that, letting the brain and body do that, good way to succeed. Target focus, staring at the target. In my opinion, this is the way to do it with optics. With optics, it's a LED that's projecting on a lens. It moves in relation to how we're moving the gun. So wherever that dot is, the bullet's gonna go. So all you have to do is stare at that target, bring the sight gun up to your eyes, pull the trigger when the dot's lined up on the spot, and it goes there. It's really easy to do with target focus out to like any range. Index. So index is one of those things where you're not just going to have, you're going to have to develop. And what index is this natural point of aim with the gun. So let's talk about where your index should be. So if everybody, let's make some room here. If everybody takes their hands and they like put them out and they like start pressing in with their hands and then you kind of bring it into your body. For me, at least, I can feel like I'm getting more pressure between my hands without like any more effort. Anybody else notice that?
Like it's
Like
I'm
it's-
pressing harder,
Yeah.
going closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? So, like, if I really wanted to grip down the gun, I would shoot from here, right? But I get hit in the chest by the slug as it reciprocates. So I don't want to do that. Also, I want to be able to see the sights. So let's take our hands all the way back out here again, and let's slowly bring them in until we feel that increase in tension. And that's about where you want your index. So another thing with this, you may want to roll your shoulders up. I find that if I roll my shoulders up, then it helps me get more pressure on there with the same effort. If I go too high up though, I start getting tension on my shoulders. I don't want that because as I'm moving the gun around, I want to keep dexterity in my shoulders to move from target to target. So I want to kind of keep my shoulders relaxed. So I don't want to bring them so far up that I'm getting shoulder tension, but I do want to bring them up a little bit to help ease with that, the amount of effort I'm getting with that grip. Because what's going to happen is the more we shoot, the more tired our body's going to get, the more relaxed our grip is going to get. We want to really clamp down with that support hand on the gun. The way that I generally do it, I'm gonna point this over here. It's not a gun, right? We agreed? Not a gun. Not a gun. All right. As I'm doing it, I'm pressing in really hard with my support hand. What I'm trying to feel for is I'm trying to feel contact between the grip of the gun here. Why? Because it's easy for me to focus on that, right? Like as I'm going through this, grip, sights, trigger, that's in that order for a particular reason. That's the order I need to focus on things, right? So I need to build my grip, bring my sights to the target, and then pull the trigger in that order of focus, right? I need to still be aware of my grip. I still need to be aware of my sights, but my focus is going to change as we go through the process. Shooting a gun is a process, right? If we want the result, which is bullet where we want it, we have to go through the process. If we're missing the target, if the bullet's not going where we want it, something's going wrong in that simple 3-step process. Yeah. So we were talking about styles of sight picture. We stopped at index because we want to build that. Everybody got their index figured out? Where is it? Roughly. Yep. All right, good. Other styles is point shooting, hip shooting. This is an older style from like the 30s. Yeah.
Hell yeah. James Bond.
It was developed actually during the Prohibition era as a way to for police to get bullets on target faster. They don't do it anymore.
Why not?
You think of it
Seems like there's.
Also, you think of it as like cowboys.
Yeah.
Right? Like
the
John McSweeney. Tiger moves.
Yeah. Well, back in the cowboy days, like there's really not a whole lot known about training. The only thing that we have back in the cowboy days comes from Wyatt Earp because he worked with Hollywood.
Okay.
And Wyatt Earp's Wyatt Earp. So that is what it is. Retention shooting and hip shooting are still used in some contexts. Generally, if there is something preventing me from getting the gun to my eyes, for instance, if I have a guy holding me really close, I can't exactly bring my gun all the way up to my eyes to shoot this guy. I'm just gonna have to shoot him kind of here. That's more of a defensive thing. Not something. But again, the whole point of going over different styles of sight picture, it's going to depend on the target and the distance. And you're just kind of it's going to have to be something that you kind of teach yourself in live fire practice. You can still go through the different ones in dry fire. That's what I do. I change my sight focus all the time in dry fire. Well, actually I don't because I mostly use a dot. But when I do practice with irons, I'm changing my sight focus depending on the targets. Practice time.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Yep. So we're gonna start with dry fire practice.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get our eyes and ear protection on.
They're silencing me, chat. They're silencing me. The woke left is silencing me. They're taking the microphones away.
Were there any questions from the chat?
Chat, any questions?
Yeah,
We're
did you guys need them or?
Yeah.
Scott, what's your favorite planet to dive on?
Burning wells.
There you go, chat.
Burning wells.
Oh, we got them in
Wells.
here.
Is that one?
That's the one with the children's hospital.
Is that a robot? Is that
Yeah,
a
that's an automation one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chad's very excited that you have a Helldiver's hat. Very, very excited.
Very excited.
Could you tell us a little about Pink Pistols?
Yeah, so honestly, like I haven't been with Pink Pistols for very long. It's kind of a loosely organized group. It's, a bunch of folks and instructors, but I'm trying to reach out to local LGBT people, take them to gun shops, show them safety courses like this, whatever they need to support them in firearms. So let's go ahead and let's talk about dry fire and let's get into it. So dry fire is the practice of shooting guns without ammo. Just as a good practice, when doing dry fire, we don't want any chance of like loading a gun and having that go off. And so doing whatever we can using barrel blocks, etc., to help us with that. Good idea. Because we're at a range, I'm not gonna throw barrel blocks in your guys' guns. And just like worst case, they go off and into the barrel.
Do you prefer that? Some people prefer the barrel.
The barrel block? Yeah, especially like when I'm not at the range, because going out to a range to dry fire sucks. I would prefer to just do it at home in a safe corner of my house. using scaled targets, which I brought some. I'll give to you guys afterwards.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so I'll set up these targets on my walls. I'll put the barrel block in, and I'll do dry fire.
Gotcha.
So I have a gun on me. I'm gonna go ahead and show that, and here it is. So first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this gun is clear for dry fire purposes. So no magazine in the gun. I can stick my finger in there, feel nothing. Chad can see, gun is empty.
Empty.
Empty gun.
Empty.
With dry fire practice, we don't have the gun going off. So we take away that distraction. So we can really just focus in on the small things that are happening when we're working with the gun. So first exercise that I want us to do, I want us to just bring the gun up to the target. And I want to work just solely on that grip. So I don't want you guys focusing on the sight picture. If you want to take a sight picture, that's fine. Be aware of where your sights are. Don't be focusing on it. Just focus on your grip. Building that grip, creeping that firm grip, and then pulling the trigger. I forgot to go over trigger. I really forget to go over trigger. So, you know, it's another one of those things where the more we talk about, the more convoluted we get. So as I hold the gun, it's kind of like this, with my fingers lined up like this, and my finger wants to kind of pull in, right? Wants to pull in, right? If I just kind of like don't focus on that trigger at all, like I'm just gonna focus on that target and I bring this in, you can see it just kind of like goes all over the place, does whatever it wants. So I need to, if I want to get a good trigger pull that doesn't disturb the sight, I need that trigger to go straight back with me. So I need to actually focus on that trigger. I know that my hand kind of lines up along this ridge here. I'm just going to focus on that trigger, and my finger, sorry, not on the trigger, on my finger. I'm going to pull my finger like straight towards that ridge. And that, to me, it feels kind of like I'm pulling it to the right. Like I'm bringing my finger actually like to the right. To you guys, it might be different. Just kind of depends on everybody's hand. I think most people that I've worked with, like it's the same with them. They feel like they're kind of dragging it to the right. Mm-hmm. If you're not getting good trigger pull, typically what you'll see is you'll see them go off to the right. Grip should be consistent. If you start, what I see a lot of people do is as they start pulling the trigger, their grip will actually they'll increase the tension on their firing hand. If that's your thing, like to where you're doing it, just increase the pressure on this, like going into the trigger
From
pull.
the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, from the beginning. Because if you do that from the beginning, you're not going to disturb your sights as you do it pulling into it. Now, obviously, we want to try to keep this as relaxed as possible. A little bit of pressure. We don't want the gun to fly out of our hand, but we don't want to lose dexterity of that trigger pull as we're doing it. So first exercise, what I want to do, let's just take the gun, point it at a spot, either on the berm or at a target, and let's just focus on grip. So I'm just going to pull the trigger. I'm going to be aware of my grip and how I'm gripping it, trying to keep that grip consistent as I'm pulling it. So I'm going to pull the trigger. You're going to hear that click. I'm going to pull it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reset the gun. Click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As you can see, I'm not even looking at my sights because I just care about that grip. I just want to make sure I'm getting that good, consistent grip. So again, you're going to just take the gun, grip it, focus out on just the grip and how you're holding the gun.
How's that?
That looks good. Go ahead, keep pulling the trigger like that. When you're pulling the trigger, just focus on that grip. Watch the gun, just trying to maximize that grip.
So I'm not pressing in.
Yeah,
with
you're
my
not
arms too
you're
much.
not using your arms.
That's
a lot.
that's normal.
Grip tension.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Tension on the grip.
That feels right. Yeah.
Even my index finger will get sort of in the,
Yeah.
or this hand could get in the way of the index finger depending on where it's positioned. So
Yeah, it is.
is it normal to have it to compensate for that by having your index finger a little more towards the pad when it's making contact with the trigger? Is that normal? Or do you want it typically with the knuckle?
So yeah, I want it more with the pad.
Okay.
That would be the preferable.
That also helps with the range of motion there.
You feel like you're making good contact with that support hand on the grip?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty locked in there.
Yep. Do you feel like you're getting as much pressure as you can? I'm just going off of what I'm seeing. I could be wrong. You
Okay.
can correct me.
No,
it looks like
please.
you're pushing the gun like way out there to the end range.
Okay.
So bringing that in slightly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking about too. Is that like, because I feel like I'm getting most of my grip through my hands, so it feels more natural to like want to like fully lock my elbows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're.
Yeah. I mean, I
think
don't
you're-
want. I
I
don't
think-
want you to like
You're right. You're
be
right.
like scrunched up like
It's
too
like
much
here,
because
though,
I
right?
want you to also have like dexterity with the whole range of motion.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we got grip figured out, let's do the same thing, but let's focus on that sight picture.
Yeah.
Right? So bringing the gun back up, grip, keeping my grip consistent, focusing on that sight picture. Again, your cock the gun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's focus on the targets that are available. So we want to use those bullseye targets that are out there. Those are B8P practice targets. I'll go ahead and explain those a little bit more now. So they have an X ring, 10 ring, 9 ring, 8 ring, and 7 ring available. The X ring is about 1.25 inches. The 10 ring is about 3 inches. The 9 ring is about 5.5 inches. The 8 ring, 8 inches?
Okay.
That sounds right. And then the 7 ring is 12. At this range, with these targets, when we are getting into live fire and we're doing everything correct, I'm kind of hoping to see everything land in the X. So as you're focusing that sight picture, I want you to drive your eyes to the X. I want you to bring the sights up to your eyes and go to work, to put it short.
Mm-hmm.
This is the boring part. Chad, are you bored?
No.
This isn't as sexy as doing John Wick stuff, is it?
We have someone in chat conducting a pop quiz.
Focusing on the stance here.
Yeah. So I was talking with them about it a bit. With stance, when I'm doing shooting, like I'm moving around a lot.
I've always heard like just a regular like
Yeah.
3-point stance
Yeah.
or like an athletic stance. If
Yeah.
you will, is usually.
So like super ideal stance that I would take every single time if I could. Left foot just slightly in front of the right foot, kind of a wide base, a little bit of bend in there. Not like a whole lot to where I'm having to like focus on it, because I want to focus on the target. I want to focus on my sight. I want to focus on my grip and my trigger as appropriate. So I don't want to have to like put focus into my stance.
Right.
But I don't want to like require me to like blade myself and like do weird stuff with how I'm tensioning my arms, because I want to try like keep tension out of my arms and out of my shoulders and keep that tension in my grip. So just kind of like a forward stance, a little bit of bend in there, a little bit of left foot forward, and blam, blam, blam. All right. So how does everybody feel about sight picture?
That's good. That's good.
Bullseye.
That's good.
We get our grip, bring it up to our eyes, get our sight picture, get that refined. Now we want to shift our focus to that trigger finger. We want to make that trigger pull as evenly straight back as we can. Be aware of what your finger is doing. You actually need to shift your focus, right? So we're going from focus on grip, awareness of grip, focus on sights, awareness of sights, focus on trigger pull, and then repeat the process.
Got it.
Ideally, once we have our grip, we have it. And then it's just going to be a process of sights, trigger, sights, trigger, sights, trigger.
Got it.
For this, like right now, let's just focus on the trigger. Let's not care about the sights. Let's not focus on the grip. And let's just bring it up. Let's just watch the front sight, but don't really shouldn't be your main focus. Like trying to line it up on the target shouldn't be the main focus here. But let's watch it and let's make sure it's not exactly moving
Yeah. That's what I've been focused
as
on
we're
a little
pulling the
bit
trigger.
You got any cheat codes for keeping it from shaking a little bit?
Up, down, left, right, A, B,
Circle
select,
button,
start.
R2.
Like as you're pulling
like
it,
it's
or in
like-
general?
Putting more pressure on the palm, putting more pressure, because, or is it just kind of getting used to it?
So generally, again, there's just two principles. Not really any cheat codes. There are, but there aren't. I don't want
I
to
think
get
some just getting used to it.
yeah,
I guess
yeah. A
some
lot
just
of it
kinda-
is just getting the reps in.
Okay.
Yep. just focusing on that grip in order to minimize the movement, and then focusing on your sights, and then as you get the sight picture, focusing on that trigger pull. Yep. So pull the trigger like 10 times. I know it'll be dead.
Oh, it'll be dead.
Yeah, gotta be out. I know it'll be dead as you pull it, like it won't give you that click, but go ahead and pull it. And pull it as though you were actually putting like as much pressure as you need to get it to go off.
Okay.
Check in the gun.
Oh, that's. I'm gonna be good at this. I'm gonna be good at this.
We'll go through a process. We'll shoot the guns. We'll need to like go take a look at the targets, but not really. Like I'm gonna be straight with you guys. Like it is like if you want shots to go where you want them to go, it's just following that process of grip, sights, trigger. The result doesn't actually matter a whole lot as much as the process.
I'm a freak for real. I always like anytime I'm on somebody else's stream, I always go back and watch the VOD. And I always read chat to make sure everybody's being nice.
You were compared to Germa by a chatter, so I was like, that's the nicest thing you can say about someone.
Joan's been putting that in her titles for a while. Trans German.
I love it.
Yeah, I've just been putting like bigger streamers in my titles lately for clickbait, and it works.
I don't know who that is.
It's okay.
Oh, he's a great streamer. He's like an old head that really like kind of.
You're saying he's old?
I mean, he's just been doing it. He hardly streams anymore.
He's been on YouTube since like I was in high school.
Yeah, it's not a measure of his age, more just like how long he's been in the content.
Yeah, he's been in the biz for like over a decade.
All right. So we ready to put some bullets in these things?
I'm ready.
Let's get some ammo. So I'm gonna
get some ear protection first, so make sure everybody has
Let's
it.
get some ear pro on. Let's get eye pro on. Let's get the magazines out of the boxes. Get the ammo on the table. I'm gonna go back to the truck real quick, grab my ammo, grab my magazines, because I'm gonna do some demos here.
Can you bring the revolver? I just want to see that. That feels like Red Dead Redemption.
I didn't bring any ammo for it. I mean, if you just want to do dry fire with it,
Yeah.
like, we can do that.
I never got a chance to use a revolver. That'd be
Let's
cool.
get a picture of you with a
I
revolver.
was thinking about it though, but like the only ammo I have on is Magnum, and I'm like, I don't want to do this stuff and have that tear up my hand.
It's like, I don't want to do that.
That wooden grip's not exactly forgiving.
Well, I definitely want to see you do some dry hits on it.
So double action revolver. Double action revolver, fully goes forward, so it is completely appropriate to just release the trigger all the way forward and like just go through that action every single time during dry fire. Revolver grip is a little bit different to most people, not to me. So I generally, like both on semis and autos, to form my grip, I keep my thumb up high, get my web of my finger in the back strap, and then bring my hand into as much of the grip as I possibly can. Just kind of keep it out of the way. One of the problems with revolvers is like, I got this lever here, I got like the cylinder here, I got the cylinder stop here. There's an opening between the cylinder and the barrel, and hot gases will go out in both directions towards that. It probably won't cause any harm to your hand, but it is annoying and distracting when you're firing it if you get your thumb out in here. Unless you're firing like some super ultra magnum, it's not really going to cause any damage though. It might sting. It definitely stings with 357 Magnum. So get my hand in there, get my thumbs kind of out of the way, build that grip, take a sight picture, and really focus on that trigger. Double action triggers tend to be kind of heavy and long. So like focus all the way through it in order to do that. Do you want to try that, Hartzell? You look very excited. Thank you. So that small grip is kind of honestly like, that grip's kind of small, very small. Forming something around it becomes kind of a challenge. Yeah, I mean, if that's not getting in the way of the trigger, yeah, that should be generally fine.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for that. Red Dead Redemption. Thank you.
And, somebody asked how to reload like John Wick, so I guess I'll just like, let's just take a quick break here and I'll just
Nice.
talk about how to reload like
Throwing
John
a
Wick here.
magazine into
So-
the air and then slamming the gun into the magazine in midair.
So to reload like John Wick, generally you like, I'm assuming they're talking about like throwing mags across the field. You kind of want to bring the gun all the way to the side, press that mag release, it comes out slightly, and then just flick it.
Ooh.
Ah! There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rule number 1 of being John Wick. You need John Wick's magazine pouches.
Yep.
Definitely need good carry
Get
gear.
the John Wick branded.
What is
Sheesh.
going on with that?
Actually, really tough to be as cool as John Wick.
Yep. That's what we learned today. It's tough to be
It ain't
badass.
easy. He spends a lot of time in the rain.
You need everything super greased up.
Keep everything well lubricated.
So next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be shooting at the B8 targets with ammo. Now remember, guns are loud. Whatever you think the sound is going to be, it's going to be louder. So forming my grip, focus on that X on the sight, bringing my sight up, pulling the trigger. We're just going to take as much time as we need to do all that. Definitely don't have to go as fast as I can. As you can see when I demonstrated, there were a couple times where I got just like everything perfectly lined up, a couple times where I kind of went loose with my trigger finger, a couple times where I went loose with my grip. So let's look at the result and see what that translates into. So focused on sight, build that grip, focused on the sight, focused on the trigger, getting right in the X-ring here. Loosening up on my trigger, we kind of get into the 9 area. Loosening up on my grip, kind of get into the 8 area. So generally at this distance, this target, if you're doing everything right, hitting the X-ring, definitely possible. If you're getting into the 10, you're doing everything, you're honestly not doing bad if we're getting everything into the 10. Like, ideally, I want you, like, if we're doing everything right and we're being ideal, you should be able to get everything in the 10 at this distance. Getting into the 9, that's not exactly bad. Probably just a little bit of trigger focus needed. If you're getting outside the 9, that's probably your grip breaking and allowing that gun to really move around. So I got 3 targets set up. So let's go ahead, head back over, load up the guns, and let's get to work on this. All right, everybody ready? Ready. All right, start. Yeehaw! Let's go ahead and reload. We're gonna do this a lot. Cool. We're just gonna try to like get this down as best as we can. How's everybody feel? Zoom in on that.
I'm zooming.
I only have the one. So
Dang.
Yep. Go ahead. Load and make ready. So let's pull the slide and lock it using the slide lever. okay to keep it pointed forward.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say
where
watch
our
your
berm
foot.
is.
Okay, it's locked.
Okay. All right. Drop the magazine. That's fine. Now, that is going to have to be ripped off by hand. That is hilarious, man. Let's see what else is going on here. Will that just pop out? Yep. Okay, there you go. And let's put the magazine back in there.
Brett broke the gun, guys. How you feeling, Joan?
Okay, chat. So my aim sucks, but would you look at this impeccably straight line right up and down that I have the target? Let me tell you, if that was a guy, and he was stood just a few inches to the left, to our right, dead,
Dead.
gone.
He'd have a line of bullets.
We're laughing at my straight line up and down the the target.
Ready
Joan
to
was
reload?
making shapes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you do a competition, what does that look like?
They'll set up stages of fire, usually with multiple targets. We'll have like
Got the
walls and barrels set up, forming
That's
boundaries.
the biggest gun.
And a timer will go off, and you're kind of on your own at that point
I'll
to
just
shoot
embarrass
at all
myself
the
by
targets.
losing the
All the targets have different scoring zones on them. Depending on what competition I'm doing, score is based upon where the shots hit on that target and the time it took you to finish that.
When you're moving around, is it like a obstacle course or? Is
Yeah,
it
kind
just
of. Yeah, it's kind of like an obstacle course with guns and targets.
Cool. Like laser tag, but
Yeah, kind of.
cool. When we see like at the Olympics, the lady from Korea who won, and she had the cool like scope glasses and everything, and then there's the Turkish guy who just like fired
Shows
off a
up.
shot.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, sharpshooting like that?
I mean, Olympic shootings, it's definitely a dedication to like the patience of the process, and I don't have the patience for that. So that's just me. Like it's definitely about the patience of the process. Too nerdy for me, I guess.
What's your favorite shooting video game? What's the term for that?
Shooter?
Shooter? First-person shooter?
Man, I would have to say Helldivers right now.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. My opinions change on that stuff though.
Are you
Yeah.
a PC gamer or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What are your like top 3? Would you say of this year?
Top 3 games or
Yeah,
shooters?
sure. Either
Um,
or.
I haven't been gaming a whole lot this year, but yeah, Helldivers, Elden Ring,
Base.
Red Dead.
Nice. Oh, someone's asking if you've ever played Tarkov.
No. All right. Everybody's on the line. Go ahead and load and make ready. Everybody ready? Ready. Start.
The kids are doing good.
Good. Good.
Not only is this the only magazine for this gun, the magazine sucks to load
Yeah.
compared to the other one.
Chat, any questions for anybody?
Do you see the X on mine? No, you don't, because I fucking blew it off.
You're a natural.
Oops.
I'm not. I'm shooting blind. Okay, we got a couple.
Hey, well, thank you for putting in the work to make me look less bad.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
I'm so nervous shooting it that my hands get shaky.
I don't blame you at all.
That's fine.
I'm also anemic. That doesn't help.
What's chat saying?
Chat's saying, I can't so bad. Jones so bad.
No.
What time is it?
Common etiquette for picking up casings?
Not at this range.
Yeah, I think in general. We can tell not here.
If you're at a
like an
public
indoor
range,
they have
be
like,
nice.
a sweep
Clean up
day
after
we'll
yourself
go through.
in all situations.
Okay.
Depends on where you're at.
Okay.
Out here, like, we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
This is probably a bit of a almost culture shock if you're mostly only used to like commercial ranges inside the city.
Yeah.
This
You
is a
damn
training range out in the
liberal
middle of
sissies
nowhere.
out there.
Who need a
Shooting at your
clean
big city
environment
ranges.
to shoot your guns.
Yeah, that X-ray's gone. This is what I consider good, honestly. Like, I know chat's saying he's leaning back too far, but, we're just focusing purely on putting bullet where we want. Probably a little bit of grip issue going on there. This might actually just be sight, like where you're lining that up. We are pretty close. Most pistols are sighted out for like 15 yards. Really just like putting like the middle of the post right here.
I think you farted during that one.
I farted, yeah.
Is that you?
I got a couple.
Look at that.
What is,
No, you did good.
Probably
What are you
working through
talking
some
about?
grip
That's
stuff.
amazing.
Yep.
Right in the nuts.
Right in the nuts.
Right in the nuts.
Right.
Probably some
the,
grip issue. I think what's going on is you're squeezing your hand as you're pulling that trigger,
Okay.
which is causing you to kind of like put extra motion in there between lining up the sights and pulling the trigger. So just gotta kind of focus on getting good grip pressure as we build the grip before we bring the sights up. And Joan, I think you're doing fine.
It's been a while.
We were talking about grip at the very beginning.
Yeah, you
because
could
yours
definitely
was-
tell I
yeah.
favor the left of the target.
So that's probably your trigger pull.
Yeah.
Focusing a little bit more on getting that even pull back.
You
Is going to help
should
bring
have
them
seen
in.
it earlier, Brett. I had a perfect line at these guys. It was great. I've lost some of the
Slender Man,
vertical
no
precision.
shot.
Yeah.
Slenderman would have been dead in the water. Shoot him in the
All right,
leg,
cool. Let's
Jack.
keep shooting.
Great.
Let's keep going.
Joan hates the left. Right, you Antifa motherfuckers, you better not come around to my place.
Yeah, I see that shatter.
I'm aiming for the far left.
I'm just gonna do the best I can. Thank you.
You're doing great. Everybody's doing so good.
You're like, I don't discriminate. I'll shoot anywhere.
I'm
I'll
just here
shoot
to-
anyone.
Yeah, it's here to shoot.
I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse.
Now she's hating on the right. No, actually, still
No, it's
left.
still the left. It's still the left.
Brett's
got
target
targets in the
over
mounds.
here, who
I'll give you the signal. when
very
you're
obviously hates the left.
I'm not doing as good with this one.
I know.
It's a smaller grip.
Smaller gun's a lot harder to hit.
Yep. That's been my take.
Then we have Hartzell's over here. He hates the right.
Obviously. Oh my God.
Yeah, that arm is toast. That arm
I
is
only
gone.
just looked at the target.
Are you winning, son?
My X is still there.
You're closing in on it.
I'm closing in on it.
Load up another one.
contact with the X.
Sweet Joan.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so how does everybody feel about their ability to put the bullet where they want it?
Pretty good.
I shot.
Okay.
Okay. I shot.
Okay.
You're in the right direction.
I'm accurate, not precise.
How about the process? Forming the grip. What do you guys feel when you're forming the grip? Like, do you feel like you're getting good contact?
I need more, probably.
I think you need a bit more.
Yeah.
I think I need
That's-
more.
I think it's also like I'm learning how much
Yeah.
it differs between guns.
I'm getting it
too.
down to like consistency
mean?
and comfort and like
I mean,
knowing
honestly,
exactly
like,
where I need to
I
be.
have 4 of the same gun for competitions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can understand why.
I don't really rotate a whole lot. Like, obviously I had the 1911, the Beret 92. I practice a lot whenever I switch, but yeah, getting the proficiency with the gun's part of it. But regardless of the gun though, like the principles kind of stay the same. Is that what we all kind of?
Yeah.
Did anybody think anything different? Okay.
I know what I'm trying to do. It's like whether or not, like how big the handle is like how effective I can be at it. Kind of is what you know what I mean.
Okay.
Definitely feels like a larger
Yeah.
gripping surface is definitely better, especially for like
Oh, yeah.
just starting out.
Right.
Don't forget, it's also about like really applying that grip,
Yeah.
like getting that grip on like the gun, forming as much contact as you can with that support hand in order to make it better. That's going to be extremely important in our next spot because this is actually going to test how well that grip is because we're going to talk about control, mostly controlling the gun at speed.
It's like curving the bullet, like in that movie.
Yeah, kind of like
Wanted?
that.
Wanted.
No, so the oldest question when it comes to like gunfighting is which is better to be fast or accurate? Anybody have a particular like idea of what the answer is?
Entirely depends, I'd imagine.
Does chat know?
How long do
Which
you
is
got?
better to be fast or accurate?
Probably both matters.
I would imagine accurate.
Anyone?
Accurate, right? The answer is yes.
Someone said
How fast is your
accurate.
opponent?
Accurate.
We have one answer.
I mean, if
Come on,
somebody
chat.
else is shooting at you,
All right.
then yeah.
So I think that the only reason we have to choose one or the other is because we're not good enough to choose both.
That's a cheating answer.
That is actually, both are important, right? If you're slow in a gunfight, you die. If you're inaccurate in a gunfight, you die. The results seem to be the same if you're bad on either one of them. So we really need to be fast and accurate, like at the same time, right? So we're gonna do that a bit. So control is basically following the same principles, right? Grip, sights, trigger. Eyes to the target, bringing the gun to the eyes. The only difference is we're going through the process a lot more rapidly.
Okay.
What we're doing is called controlled pairs. Basically what that means is I'm going to take the gun, I'm going to form my grip, I'm going to stare at my aiming reference, bring my sights to my target, pull the trigger. Recoil happens, I'm going to bring my eyes to that reference and bring the sights back to my eyes and pull the trigger again. Pause, reestablish my grip. Do it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So let me go ahead and show what that looks like. Eyes and ears.
Yep.
What's important here? You can see I did that kind of rapidly. What's important here isn't the time between the shots.
Got it.
Like, I don't care about that at all right now for you guys. What's important is that you are bringing the sight back to your eyes, bringing your eyes to the target, bringing the sight back to your eyes, pulling the trigger as soon as you get that sight picture on there. This doesn't mean like, hey, ignore the trigger. At the same time, I'm giving you kind of a more generous target because I'm just wanting to keep it in the down 0 zone. You can see there were a couple shots there where I did not actually bring my sights back to the target. Like, I did that extremely rapidly. We can see it kind of fell out of the down 0 zone there, right? Try to not do that. Don't forget, like, as we're getting on the line, let's build ourselves a stance here. I know everybody was kind of like leaning back. Gun is in reference, you know, you're holding the gun, your arms are in reference to your body. Like moving it away doesn't move you away from the gun.
Sure. Okay.
And let's go ahead and let's grab the guns and line up on the line. All right, go ahead and load and make ready. Now remember, it's about the process. Form your grip, get your sight picture, pull the trigger, reestablish your sight picture, pull the trigger again, pause, check your grip, repeat. Ready? Go ahead and begin.
That's right.
When
We
you're
out
done
here.
shooting, you just throw it in the river.
We out here in Kansas. Actually, we're in Kansas right now.
There we are.
You ain't know nothing about that. My spread's pretty good, especially for doing double taps. On that, look at that.
Yeah, so let's
I got
focus in on dialing in that grip because this whole control thing
more
is
than half inside of the A.
grip and sight.
I mean, we're not far away, chat, so don't be too impressed, but.
All right, everybody, let's go ahead and load and make ready.
I'm ready.
Everybody got eyes and ears? Double check. All right, let's go ahead and begin. Just go ahead and slam. Let's try to get like no screenshots.
Getting better at this. Also, this is a nice gun, so it feels good. This one
It
feels
looks
good in
cool.
the hand. Look at that. Look at that.
Me.
Look at me go, chat. Are you proud of me? Look at the grouping.
Now you hate centrists. As you should.
It's about damn time.
Hell yeah. It's a great spread. Not a line in sight.
I hear that all the time.
It's all circles. So how did you find pink pistols?
They're like National Head, like put out a post, and I happened to see it. And I was like, I've never heard of this group. This sounds directly in line with my values. I'm gonna be a part of this.
Nice. Hell yeah. Personality. Kansas City.
Didn't walk back that time.
Oh my gosh, it's a secret though, it's a secret. I'm not gonna tell him. Dude, it was crazy because he was looking at your grip. He wasn't even looking at the target. He was just looking at this, and every time he nodded, you were so close to hitting the target.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
How well the posture and the grip.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's a trick.
Right about back on, and it looks like your aiming grip is gone. Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like you're drilling that thing hard. You're going like this thing. Yeah, that looks like. We're gonna do this like really 1 or 2 more times. How's it feel?
A lot better. That last.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
So where are you like? Tell me about your focus.
What chat? What are you saying?
Colt's asking people to show cheeks.
So are you focusing on your front side
You guys spamming all those VO sussies.
or somewhere in between?
Colt, where's the cine sussy?
So focus more on the aiming rifle to the target.
What is the sussy emote typically?
The butt shaking
The
emote.
butt
So
oh.
long as you can see that this front dot is between these two posts,
Chat, show Becca VO sussy.
Oh no, I
Good
see
enough,
it.
right?
I
Where if
see
you
it.
have a good grip and a good
I don't
trigger
think
pull,
those are the
then you're gonna
cheeks
put
that
good
Colt was asking for, but that's what they're getting.
What was he asking for?
tweak. Focus on that specific.
The gifty cheeks. The unsubscribed cheeks. There's no political.
No politic here.
Good.
Yeah, no politic here. Thank
No,
you.
we're shooting guns.
It's not
It's just
political.
guns.
We're shooting
That's what I said.
guns.
We shouldn't
We're
qualify.
shooting apolitical,
We weren't sure if Twitch would
politically
agree.
neutral firearm.
This is my favorite one.
Everybody right?
I
Just
just got a whole
joke.
other magazine here. I could.
Oh, jeez.
Jones yapping.
My bad. I mean, I'm loading while I'm yapping, but
It's all good.
yap I will. It's these dainty, twinkish thumbs. They can't load fast enough.
This is cool.
It's pretty neat.
I like that. I want to get like a phone holder for this.
A phone holster, even.
Phone holster.
That's some real like off-duty cop behavior.
Yeah.
The phone holster.
Off-duty copy if you're like real estate mogul.
Yeah, I'll just.
Do these two. Hold on. Let me get my ears in. Yes.
Basically, each one of these magazines is like one sub worth of revenue. I just did the math in my
It's a
head.
lot of magazines, y'all.
32 bullets at like 25 cents each.
Yeah. They were more like 40 cents each though.
No, it's $27.99 for 100.
Okay.
The next 3 subscribers, I dedicate these next 3 magazines to you. I'm gonna spell your name. I'll spell your name, or my name ain't rootin' tootin' shootin' Magoo.
Well, Joan has her shooting name. What's your shooting name?
Oh, I've had my shooting name. Shootin' Magoo, baby.
Shooting Magoo. What's your shooting name?
Bad Brad.
Bad Brad. Let's
Brad Danger.
come on chat. We can do better than Bad Brad. Hartzell, what's your shooting name? We got Shooting Magoo and Bad Brad, which needs some
I'm
work.
H Love, baby. H Love on the range, baby.
H Love.
H Love on the range.
Range's gonna go hot. Everybody put your eyes and ears on. Good, good,
Good.
good. All right, go ahead and load and make ready.
Bullet Brad is way cooler. Breaking Brad.
That's pretty good.
Bullet Brad.
That's pretty good.
All right,
Breaking
if I aim for
Brad.
the headbox here? Absolutely. Head box.
That's what'll get you.
What?
The residue.
Gunshot residue.
We're all if any of us get arrested for any reason, that right there.
Straight
Back-
to the executioner.
Yep. The chair.
All right. All right, I think at this point we're pretty much out of time.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and box everything back up.
I can hear again.
How were you guys feeling about that?
Good.
Pretty good.
I feel good.
I probably got to my most comfortable point.
Yeah.
By the end of it there.
So what's everybody think about those two principles? Eyes to target, gun to eyes, and obviously this isn't a gun. And grip sight trigger.
I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah, I think it was good because like there were multiple times, especially during that last one, where you're trying to like get him out, kind of.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I had to be like, okay, I need to restart.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go back to grip, like fix my grip.
Yeah.
You know
Back
what
to
I mean?
basics. Go through the steps.
And that's kind of the thing of doing controlled pairs that
Right.
way, is so that we can do bang
Gives you
bang,
a second. Yeah.
pause, reestablish your grip if you need to, and then get back onto eyes, target,
Right.
trigger.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Everybody understand the process of it?
I do. Yeah. I think
Okay.
I'm a better shooter.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was a non-shooter when I showed up.
There you go.
Yeah. So some things we didn't get to was about multiple targets, which is honestly just an extension of the last thing we did, except instead of focusing our eyes to like a specific spot on the target and then bringing our eyes or our gun to that point on the target, we're just shifting our vision to the next target and then doing the same process. It's literally the same process of, okay, eyes, gun, shoot, eyes, gun, shoot, etc. Other things we didn't get to was manipulations, drawing the gun. I can't really summarize drawing the gun. It's a lot.
Advanced course.
Yeah, not really. So honestly, like there are a set of skills that I think that you need to have when we're talking about like pistol shooting that separate a beginner from like a novice who's building the skill set. And I do think that drawing the gun and reloading at speed are two of those skills. I know a lot of people disagree on me with that. And that's probably a lot of ego. Because nobody likes to be told that they're a beginner when, you know, they can land shots at 50 yards but don't know how to draw a gun. Yeah.
Fair.
You know, reloading the gun at speed, that's also, I think I demonstrated it pretty poorly
Oh, you did.
for me.
Not your fault though.
Yeah, we put the pressure on for you to be like John Wick.
Yeah. So these are scaled targets. These are what I put up on my wall in order for me to dry fire. These are 1/6 scale, so being 1 foot away from this thing is the same as being 2 yards away. Distance scale, different thing. So 5 feet away is the same as 10 yards away from this one. This is 1/3 scale. So 1 foot away is 1 yard, 3 feet away, 3 yards, 5 feet away, 5 yards. We were shooting at 5 yards today, pretty much all day. So I've got so many of these. I'm just gonna give each one of you a set of these.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thanks, man.
I am missing some parts though. Yep. Also got a popper. We didn't really shoot at the steel
You
today.
got poppers?
Ooh. Those.
So that's a steel target.
Joan got too excited.
Not excited enough.
A steel popper target. Use a plate, and then a plate that you would see on a plate rack. Normally plates are 4 inches. I think these are 1/3 scale. You could tape these up on your wall, and if you have a gun or plan on getting a gun at any point, put those up on your wall. I recommend getting a barrel block. Throw a barrel block in there, and then you can just do the same thing that we were doing at the beginning with dry fire. You can practice pretty much everything just in dry fire, that grip sights trigger, eyes to gun, or eyes to target, gun to eye. And dry firing, that's a major way to build the skill. Yeah. Besides spending $300 and running it all day. Like,
It's a very expensive way to learn.
it's an expensive way to learn. I think getting the reps in is a real important part of the process, though. So I know you asked for goofy, if there was like any trick to it. There are. The problem is that a lot of those goofy tricks have a ceiling. So like you'll build up the skill using this goofy trick, and then you'll hit the ceiling for that trick, and then you're stuck, you're plateaued.
And then it's a crutch.
Yep. And then you have to learn new thing. So really just, it's that principle-based approach, grip, sights, triggers, building all that. I have some books as well that I recommend that kind of do that. I can drop those in like the Discord or whatever.
That'd be great, yeah.
That like that's my like way that I learn. Like the difference between, because 1 year ago I was not a master. 1 year ago I was like, or not like on the precipice of being a master. 1 year ago I was like middle of the run, middle class, and read those books, and suddenly I'm like, I was 3 points away from being a master, and I'm upset about that.
You're gonna get it.
You're gonna
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna get it.
And you guys can follow along as Scott gets master at scott.redacted, right?
It was an
Scott
underscore.
underscore
Chat found it.
Oh, sorry.
redacted.
It's underscore?
Yeah.
I thought it was a period.
We found you. We found you.
Instagram,
underscore.
Scott
Yeah,
underscore
check your
redacted.
Instagram.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
sure it's
just
you.
Drop the link in the
We've
chat
got.
right now.
We've got.
Thank you, Scott, so much.
Seriously, Scott. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you were
claps
a
for
great
Scott.
instructor. Thank
Oh,
you
it
very
is.
much.
It is an underscore.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. This is great.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been incredible.
Hell yeah. As we're wrapping up here, please consider supporting all of the leftist streamers that you have, you follow on the platform.
Is this one of your guys?
Get
Ew,
subscribe to Joan. Follow Hartzell. Hartzell's gonna start streaming.
Hartzell. The H and the L's, they're symmetry. There's
And then
there's balance.
965.
965. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in the title. Click on both of those, please, and go
No
follow them.
affiliation anymore.
No. It's strictly
Unaffiliated.
unaffiliated.
Unofficial Hartzell.
But yeah, that's on all the socials. So,
Yeah,
and I'm team follow back. So let's go.
thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Love you, chat.
Claps for Scott.
Mwah.
Claps for Scott.
Also, he's in the Discord, so if you have questions, he's gonna drop resources in there,
Oh, hell
the
yeah, yeah.
books, all that fun stuff. Thanks, chat. Thanks for all the subs. I can't wait for Brett to see that later. Thanks, Mikey. Thanks, Acid Burns. Thanks, Afro.
To everybody,
I'm missing
to
Call Like a
everybody
Tom. Who else
that
am I
knew
missing?
me in Kansas City, I love you. Thank you so much. Y'all literally paid my bills, and we got a whole lot more cool shit to do. That's why we do it with friends. All the friends. Love it.
And that's a wrap on Hartzell. Way to go.